Yo, 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 what's going on, everyone? Today is December 22nd, 2022. This is another edition of ChrisBeCappinn NBA show live on Twitter, live on YouTube. Gather around, boys and girls. Let's grab our paper and pencil and see what we got for today, man. Hopefully, you guys have put in some bets already and got some, hopefully, some positive CLV that actually cashes because we know CLV has been terrible lately. And hopefully, we can avoid the blowouts if you guys are on player props because I know I saw a lot of people complaining yesterday about blowouts. I didn't necessarily pull the trigger on any player prop yesterday, thank God, because that was uh, uh, oh man, it was just bad. Let's just put it like that. It was bad. I don't know the word to describe it, but as you guys come in, if you wouldn't mind liking the show, retweeting it, all that good stuff, that'd be helpful. Shout out to my guy JR Sports and Markel for being in the chat over on YouTube already, and everybody else as well. That Udonis, yeah, Udonis, Father Time got him. He's gonna be in the next LeBron commercial. I saw that just tweeted by Underdog and thought that was funny. So yeah, we only got 2 games today, man. It'd be a relatively short show. We got a lot of games tomorrow, so excited to kind of dig in and see what we can find for tomorrow. I'll be back in the morning as always, 7 a.m. Eastern time to break down the big card for Friday. So extremely excited about that as always. Like I said, hit the like button for me if you guys can. If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel as well. Almost at I think like 22,300 or 2,000, yeah, like 2,300 subscribers, I think. So that's a pretty big milestone for me. Also, just speaking about milestones before we get started, I'm coming up on a year since I've actually started doing these shows, man, and that's pretty crazy to think about. Started doing these shows last year during the Christmas break. I always say shout out to my guy Cap because he's the one that inspired me. One of the guys that actually inspired me to start doing the show. So big shout out to Cap, big love to Cap. He started doing these Twitter Spaces at night, and I kind of jumped on board, picking his brain before I started doing them myself. And kind of keeping it going every single day. So big love to Cap. Big love to everybody that was a part of that, part of the growing process, a part of my success as well. Finesse was one of the first guys that I started. I see my guy Finesse in the chat. Another guy that one of the first guys I started bringing up daily. When I first started doing these, it was just me kind of handicapping the games and providing a lot of insight, and just sharing. It's this the show, what am I trying to say? The reason for doing the show has never changed, right? It's always to share information. It's always to provide more context to the plays that we like. Share my thoughts and analysis on the game, no matter what tools I'm using. The tools change sometimes, but the mission stays the same, and the mission is the cash, right? So that's what you guys are here for. Let's get into the slate for today, man. We got the San Antonio Spurs. Markel said I have nothing today. There's nothing wrong with not having anything, man. Nothing wrong with not having anything. Actually, probably propels you to go ahead and start looking forward to tomorrow, because one thing we know about bettors is we typically like to, have some kind of a look that we're looking at. So if you don't have anything, it's more reason to kind of look forward to tomorrow. So first game up, we got the Spurs and the Pelicans. Let's see. Spurs and the Pelicans being played in New Orleans. We know that the Pelicans have been pretty lackluster, man. They had that big they had all of those games at home 2 weeks ago. Beat up on a bunch of different teams at the crib, and then they go on the road and just kind of look like a shell of themselves. They've been struggling recently. I think 4 straight losses. They're only 4-6 against the spread last 10 games. Lost to the Bucks last week on a game that I got wrong because I was on the under in that game and it went over by a few points. I also lost to Phoenix, back-to-back losses in Utah as well before reeling off, a bunch of games in a row at home. So not the greatest performance recently from them. You look at the San Antonio team, just, up and down, right? They beat Houston the other day, 124 to 105, but they, got a loss to Miami, lost to Portland, beat Cleveland, right? So just a team that we really, it's really hard to cap for. Some of these games have been on the road. Some of these games have been at home. Really, really difficult. Overall, they're still a really, really bad team. They're a lottery team. I think that's something that's probably not going to change. Also interesting to note in this game, the Spurs are 7-0 last 7 games in New Orleans against the spread. Also, both of these teams playing back to back. So Orlando San Antonio will travel to Orlando tomorrow to take on the Magic. And on the opposite side, the Pelicans will be traveling to OKC to take on the Thunder tomorrow night. So interesting looks there. I think, we always talk about how can you kind of project a blowout. Sometimes I mentioned this the other day, and I'm going to keep mentioning it because I think, it's worth mentioning over and over again. And it kind of, when I say it, it kind of reminds me in my head as well. Sometimes when you see two teams playing on the first leg of a back-to-back and they have a game the next day, that can kind of indicate the blowout, right? Because if the game's out of reach, we saw it, last week. I think it was on Thursday. No, I think it was on Friday last week. Portland Trailblazers went to Dallas and got smacked up throughout the first three quarters. They could have came back in that game, but you see Chauncey not put the starters back in, right? Indicated the blowout, right? Because they had a game the next day against Houston in a bounce back spot, and they took care of business. So what I'm saying is, maybe Pop doesn't do that. Maybe he keeps his guys out there because they're young and they're trying to develop. But, Coach Willie Green may, pull his guys, especially if he thinks it's a more winnable game tomorrow. And, I mean, not that tonight shouldn't be a winnable game, right? Like, if you can get some of these starters out to preserve them for tomorrow, especially not being this that you're on a back-to-back, but that the back-to-back comes with travel. And, both of these teams will be on the road tomorrow. I can see that happening. So if you don't want to play player props in this game, I could totally understand that. Same thing with the Washington Wizards tomorrow. They will touch on that game against the Utah Jazz in a second, but they play in Sacramento as well. Maybe shorthanded without Porzingis tonight. So, let me get to the notes I got on this game. So I kind of talked about just how the team stands so far. I think it's pretty difficult to one other thing to note real quick is that the Pelicans will be without Zion Williamson in this game. He tested positive, I think, yesterday for COVID, and he's on the health and safety protocol list. So he's going to be out. Spreading this one, when we were doing the show yesterday, was 11. It's down to, it came all the way down to, I think, 7.5. Now I see it at most books at about 8.5. Just depends on, where you're looking. Let me see what I got. Yeah, so I got 8.5. So I got 1.9. Like I said, was all the way down to 7.5. So even with Zion not being in this one, the money's coming in on the Pelicans to not only win but to cover this game as well. Even though it's a nice margin. Granted they haven't been covering these big numbers. So as far as the side in this one, I'm not going to pick because I feel like the San Antonio Spurs are extremely sporadic and they can not only cover this game, but they may be able to win this game. The Pelicans, like I said, they haven't been playing defense. I do think that there's something to them not playing defense recently, and they probably pick it up in a spot like this and respond well to Coach Willie Green. And I think that's probably why you see the point spread, start to balloon just a tad bit. So I'll be looking towards no side, but I'll be looking towards the under in this game. It opened at 226, is up to 228, and I don't agree with the point total going with the totals going over. I'll preface that by saying this. I'm very transparent, and I have not been cashing on my totals recently. I've been taking some unders, and they haven't been cashing, so I couldn't talk anybody off of, just staying off the total. I haven't placed a total bet, and if I do play it, it'll be for a half-unit play versus a full-unit play, just because they have been a little more volatile. I was on the under yesterday in the Bucks in the Cleveland game. We see the Bucks, who are 6-0 to the under on the road against the East. We see their game go over. I was also on the Pelicans and the Bucks under when they played last week, and we saw that game go over because the Pelicans didn't bring their defense, and Giannis goes off for 40 plus. So I'll preface by saying that if you do play it for a smaller unit, but I do feel like the under is the right play. The Pelicans, like I said, their defense is kind of falling off a cliff. One of the reasons, like I talked about, my bet didn't hit with the Bucks. With Zion out, I think that they do focus on their defense here, and they don't necessarily try to just outscore the Spurs. I think they try to get out and run in transition, but they're going to be missing a lot. We know Zion was averaging about 28 points per game when he was in over the last 10 games. Dude has been absolutely balling. So I also think it's interesting to know both of these teams play tomorrow. When you look at two teams that play tomorrow on the first leg of a back-to-back, those teams are 28 and 18 to the under. That's 61%. If you guys wanted to play just off percentages, 61% to the under. Also, 4 of the last 5 matchups have all gone under in the series between these two teams as well. So strong lean towards the under, but I haven't put that in yet. Talked about it on the morning show earlier. What I did play, and I talked about this on the morning show as well, was I played Trey Murphy. I played him over 14.5 points. You look at Trey; he hasn't been hitting his number recently, and to me that doesn't really scare me too much because he is averaging 12 points over his last 10 games. He's playing 30 minutes, which lets me know that Coach Willie Green will have him out there, especially for his offense. He's a 3-level scorer. He can dunk on you. He can also shoot the three. He got a little pull up, little midi game too. He got the mid range, shooting 40%, shooting just 40% from the field, but 38% from three over the course of the last 10 games. I think to me the biggest thing is, like I said, is Zion not being there, right? I talked about Zion leading his team in scoring over the last 10 games, averaging almost 30 points per game. I think it was 29.2 to be exact on 17 shot attempts. Those points and shot attempts have to go to another player. To me, Trey's that guy, right? He has tremendous upside in a matchup like this against the San Antonio Spurs, who aren't known for their defense at all. We know where they fall defensively and how bad they've been ranked. So I think some of that scoring responsibility will be on Trey Murphy tonight. I played him at 14.5. It was minus 102 last night. I also played him up to 20. Small play on the 20, but I did get the 20 at plus 330. So I like Trey Murphy tonight, man. I think he's one of the guys that fill it up. Other than, I know a lot of people on CJ McCollum assists. I talked about CJ as well on the morning show. I don't mind playing CJ McCollum assists up to 10, honestly. He could absolutely go crazy in a game like this. I do think that, some caution because they plan on the second night of a back. They are playing on the first leg of a back-to-back. Probably want to save a little bit of that for tomorrow because they're most likely, they will still be without Zion, probably without Brandon Ingram in that spot as well. So maybe CJ doesn't, bring all of it tonight. So that's the way I'm kind of looking at this game. Couldn't talk anybody off Valanciunas. No, he hit about 17 3-pointers the other day. And has a really good matchup, especially when you look at the San Antonio Spurs against centers. So couldn't talk anybody off any of those props. I think CJ will be more of a facilitator than an actual scorer today. Look for the defense to kind of key in on him. His points prop has went up. He was just sitting at like 17.5. It feels like 3 or 4 games ago. Now he's all the way up to 24.5, 25.5. And of course, the number's going to increase without Zion being there. So that's the way I would look. I'm not really interested in playing aside. I could see the Spurs covering this game because I think it's a big number. I could also see the Pelicans kind of sitting down on defense and taking care of the Spurs as well. So I didn't touch it. Small lean towards the total under 228. And I probably will get there because it did go up from 226. I don't agree with the market there. Next game and last game on the board, we had a Washington Wizards facing the Utah Jazz in a bit of a funky spot for both of these teams. The Wizards are playing their 4th game in 6 nights, which is a spot that I typically am not looking to back teams. They also will probably going to get rocked tomorrow against the Sacramento Kings. I'm waiting for that line to come out because the line will move towards Sacramento tomorrow. It'll be their 5th game in 8 days. So, the absolute worst, the most brutal phase spot that you can back a team. I'll preface that by saying that Bradley Beal has not played all of the games on this, this West Coast road trip. The Wizards did get a win the other day to kind of get off the losing snide against the Phoenix Suns in a game that they played without Devin Booker, but the Wizards are just 1-9 against straight up and 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games. They have a 4-13 record on the road straight up, and this is like I said, it's a brutal spot, not just from the sense of it's the 4th game in 6 nights, but it's also the 5th game of a 6 game of a 7 of a. I'm sorry, it's the 5th game of a 6-game road trip. Like I said, they're playing Sacramento tomorrow. So not really looking to back them in this spot. I do think that you probably want to take, somebody that hasn't been playing in all those games like Bradley Beal tonight. My problem with Bradley Beal is just his lack of aggression. He's typically not super aggressive, and then he could kind of turn it on. So I think live betting him would be probably the best play because you probably could get a better number. His number probably falls at the end of the first quarter. Also, on the other side, the Utah Jazz just don't play a lot of defense. They play at extremely fast pace at home. Funky spot for them as well, coming off the 3-game road trip. They got smacked up against the Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers earlier this week before taking care of business and beating Detroit 2 games ago. Then they go back out on the road and play San Antonio the day after Christmas. So really funky travel spot for them. 3 road games, come home for 1, back on the road to go to San Antonio, Golden State, and Sacramento. So not a spot I really want to back either one of these teams in. And to be frankly honest, I think if the Wizards cover this spread, it wouldn't surprise me. And if the Jazz covered this spread, it wouldn't surprise me. Smaller lean towards the Washington Wizards kind of catching so many points. I think it is a tad bit too many points. I talked about that on the morning show, but not anything that I'm putting in my pocket. 6.5 feels like a big number. Granted, the Jazz can, fill it up at home. I don't trust the Wizards on defense, especially on the road. But I'm not playing aside. Like I said, lean towards the Wizards and lean towards the under in that first game. I don't have a play on a total in this one. Like I said, the Wizards do play tomorrow. I don't trust their defense. I don't trust the Jazz defense. 231 is a pretty high total for a Washington Wizards offense that can go stagnant at times. This is the double revenge game for the Utah Jazz. The Washington Wizards did beat them 121-111 earlier this season. Washington was catching 4 points at the crib in D.C., won that game outright by 9. So covered the spread by 13. And then, dating all the way back to last year, Washington was catching 10, won that game outright by 6. So covered that spread by 16. So double revenge spot for the Utah Jazz, but not a real, like I said, not a spot I want to back them in. And that's really all I got. Oh, one other thing. So I posted this on YouTube. The link is posted on Twitter as well. I am on Walker Kessler today. Walker Kessler is out specifically his rebounds, but I think it's a bunch of value in how you could take Walker Kessler. I'm always looking for these value plays. Always. Typically, I cap them pretty well and do pretty well with them. The value plays that I give out in here typically cash at a pretty high rate. So Walker Kessler's numbers came out early today, which I didn't expect. I do expect them to be juiced a tad bit more closer to game time. His rebounds specifically, so 7.5 is what the line came out at. I think that, this is an opportunity and value play, like I kind of talked about. He's going to see an uptick in minutes without Kelly Olynyk being ruled out already. And in his recent games without Kelly Olynyk, you see Walker Kessler minutes increase. He played 25 minutes and 27 minutes against two really good rebounding teams in the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons recently. He cleared the over 7.5 rebounds versus the Pistons, but he finished with 8 in that game. And that game was a blowout as well, where they actually were the team that was blowing the Pistons out. Specifically early in the fourth quarter in that game. He only had 6 rebounds against a really, really good Cleveland Cavalier front line, especially at home. But that game was also a blowout. Coach Hardy pulled them a little early in that game because they were on the first leg of a back-to-back and had to travel to Detroit before that game. So you look at Walker Kessler, last 8 games he's played at least 22 minutes in this season, which I anticipate that he will tonight. He's grabbed at least 8 rebounds in 6 of those games. That's 75% hit rate. The Wizards also bottom half of the league in rebounds allowed to centers over the last 7 games. Also couldn't talk anyone off his double-double. He scored 10 points in 5 of his last 6 games, good for 83%. The Wizards are allowing the most points to centers over the last 7 games. They're giving over the last 7 games and over the last 5 games, the Wizards are allowing 60 points in the paint versus their opponent, which is by far the most in the NBA. The second worst is like 57. So they're giving up 3 more points in the paint. They don't have a lot of rim protection. Porzingis being in and out of the lineup. They don't have anybody that's going to stop anybody. Teams have really gone crazy against them recently. So with that being said, his double-double, looking at Walker Kessler double-double, putting his points and rebounds together. Points at 9.5 is juice, or you take it at 10.5 and it's plus money. But his double-double should be anywhere between 300 to 350 if you build it out yourself on your sports book. And I think it's worth a sprinkle. I absolutely think it's worth a sprinkle there. Last thing to note, like I said, this is the 4th game in 6 nights for the Wizards and the 5th game of a brutal 6-game road trip, which probably presents tired legs and not a lot of defense. I think that the Wizards, the Wizards do play tomorrow in Sacramento, as I mentioned, against the Kings. So I like this spot for Walker Kessler, especially getting behind the home crowd. Him kind of building some confidence. He's not a guy that's going to run a lot of plays for, but he's going to get a lot of tip-ins, some rim runs, some offensive rebounds, some putbacks. So I like Walker Kessler a lot. I played his rebounds at 7.5. I got it at a -122. Also sprinkled on his double-double. So that's what I got for you guys in the 2 games today. Walker Kessler, 7.5 rebounds, and his double-double sprinkle. Trey Murphy, 14.5 points, and up to 20 for Trey Murphy, sprinkled at 330 as well. So that's where I'm looking. Couldn't talk anybody off Kuzma. I think he's in for a big night. Bradley Beal, rebounds plus assists is probably a good look because he typically likes to facilitate. And then CJ McCollum, like I said, he could get 10 assists tonight. I think Walker Kessler rebounds could be laddered as well. Dude could finish with 14, 15, 16 rebounds, depending on how many minutes he gets. So that's what I got for you guys. Whew, I felt like that was a lot, man. Hit the like button for me if you guys can. Lando said, "You Trey Murphy biggest fan. I'm convinced you must be because he from UVA and you in the Ville." Nah, it has nothing to do with that, my brother. Nothing to do with that, man. I just see value. Like I said, I see value here on Trey Murphy, man. Scotty said, "Don't sleep on Kessler blocks." Also, yeah, if your book allows blocks, man, Kessler Walker is like people who don't know who Kessler Walker is. This dude is like 7'13". It's like, nah, he is 7 foot though, and he's dude is pretty massive in stature. He takes up a lot of space, blocks a lot of shots, gets a lot of rebounds, plays at a really solid, high energy level on the defensive end specifically. So I do like them to impact this game against a Wizards team that's just not been great at all. So we're stopping center. So that's what I got for you guys. Like I said, hit the like button for me if you guys can. Definitely want to get my guys up and hear what other people got to say real quick before we get up out of here. Like I said, probably be a shorter show today, but I do want to get to the requests. First up, I got my guy Finesse. Let me get Cam up. DJ coming to you as well. Bookie, I see you. I'm gonna come to you as well. What up, Finesse?
What's good, bro? How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Just taking a breath, man. How you?
Chilling, bro. Chilling. I didn't even know. You mentioned at the beginning of the show it's coming up on the years. Crazy how time flies, bro. So shout out to you and cheers to the last year, cheers to the next year. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy doing the same shit. Exact same shit we was doing a year ago. So I imagine another year's gonna be same shit, more money, but doing the same thing. So we appreciate you as always as a community. I'm sure I speak for a lot of people. So let's get into today. 2 games. So starting in the Spurs game, I'm still kind of debating. I like Zach Collins' rebounds, still at 5.5 on most books. Pop is just weird. You mentioned the back-to-back. That leads me to believe that Pop is going to favor guys on the bench, as he does. He plays a lot of bench guys, a lot of minutes. That's the only thing I'm wary of. I think Bassey got sent down or something like that, or he's hurt, so he's not a factor anymore for the big man. But I think he gets, I think the floor for him is 23 to 25 minutes, and I think that's enough to cover the 5.5 rebounds. Even with Porter coming back, his hit rate is still great. He's a monster. I think he had 19 rebound chances, something like that. I got to look it up again. But even with Porter in the game, last game, so still debating him. I haven't fully locked it in. 2 plays that I have locked in are in the Wizards game. Let me get to that. All right, so I'm gonna try to go through it fast. If you guys want a written shit, that's on my page too, because I talk fast and all of that shit. You mentioned Kuzma. I see a lot of people on Bill tonight. I don't mind a play. I have a play for Bill in another way, but it's becoming really public. I like Kuz for a pivot. Over 21.5 points. I locked it in at -106 on Barstool. Both of my plays in this game, I'm banking on Porzingis being ruled out. He didn't practice he didn't participate in shoot around. Which is the best kind of indication that we'll get pregame, just probably from hours before tip off. So I still love the plays if he's ruled in. Still great value, still good hit rates, but I'm banking on him being out. So Kuz has covered 21.5 back-to-back games, 3 of his last 4, 7 of his last 10 road games, and he's averaging 23 points per game in both of those sample sizes. With Porzingis in the game, Kuzma still covered this line. 6 of his last 10, 5 of his last 6 road games. The shot volume is always going to be there for Kuz. He has no problem jacking it up, especially from 3. Last 10 games with Porzingis, he's averaging 20 shot attempts, 8 3-point attempts. We'll always take this line at 21.5 if we know he's going to get that value, and we'll just kind of live with the results. Without Porzingis, Kuzma has cleared this line in 3 games this season, averaging close to 30 points per game. 10 of his last 12, averaging 25 points per game, and 9 in his last 10 road games. So we really love that. Love those sample sizes. Love the value there. Kuzma's overall shot volume and 3-point volume increases, as you'd expect without Porzingis. It's just a great matchup, too, against this Utah defense. Over the last 10 games, they're 22nd in opponent scoring, 26th in opponent field goal percentage, 24th in opponent 3-point percentage, and bottom 10 in defensive rating. They're struggling guarding the power forward position, giving up the 3rd most points. So he's coming off a game versus the Jazz where he put up 23 covering this line. In that game, he shot 19 times, but only shot 1 of 7 from 3. So I'm expecting similar volume, but hopefully a little bit better efficiency. So I think he's in for a 25-plus night. Denny Avdia is questionable, too. I think that's huge for both this play and for my next play. So hopefully he's ruled out too. He was a late addition, which is normally bad news for him playing. My other official in this game, and I promise I'm done, is Beal over 8.5 rebounds and assists. So there's two books that still have this line. Last time I checked, is PointsBet and FanDuel. I got it at minus 130. Might be more juice there. Again, banking on Porzingis ruled out. Still like it if he's not. He's covered this line in 15 of his last 20 games overall and 15 of his last 20 road games, which is crazy. With Porzingis in the lineup, Beal has covered this line in 14 of 19 games this season, 8 of his last 10 road games. Without Porzingis, the numbers get crazy. So last game was Beal's first game playing without Porzingis. Put up 12 RA, 10 rebound chances, 12 potential assists. He's covered this line in 19 of his last 20 games without Porzingis, averaging 12 RA, and 8 of his last 10 road games without him. Great matchup. I mentioned the defense. Utah struggles the guard position. It's like the power forward position, the point guard position, lending for more assists, at least assist chances to Beal's teammates. Last 15 games, Utah's allowing the 7th most rebounds and the 6th most assists to the position. So don't really get this line. I don't know why I opened at 8.5 and not 9.5. I'll take that value. So Bradley Beal over 8.5 rebounds and assists, and Kuzma over 21.5 points. Those are my officials for today.
Love them joints, Finesse. The Kuzma look is something that is, Kuzma just be out there balling. Like, dude, just get the ball. He let it fly. Can score at all 3 levels. He attacks the rim while also, being able to manage to shoot, 5 to 10 threes a game as well. Love the look. Like you said, Finesse, a lot more. And if you like it, you might want to get on that early. Like Finesse said, Porzingis didn't go through shoot around, so he probably not going to play. But if he does, if he doesn't, this number is probably going to go up. So, the books try to put it like, somewhere in the middle. So love that look. And the Bill look is what I would probably pivot to as well. I think I like the rebounds and assist line. Like you said, Finesse, just a tad bit more just because, that's the way that he impacts the game. A lot of the times I think about Bradley Beal and I'm like, man, why did Washington give him all that money? But, he's a smaller guard. It takes him a little in my estimation, it's harder for him to score. Being a smaller guard, you got to do, maybe 3 moves instead of 2 to get your shot off because it's, most of the time it's going to be bigger defenders guarding them. So I would look towards his, assists and rebounds as well. Shouldn't be a fast-paced game. We know the Utah typically plays faster at home. Also, like I said, bad travel spot for Utah. Defense might not be there. So love that look on his 8.5 rebounds plus assists, Finesse.
Yeah, two more quick things, and I promise I'm done. You mentioned the shoot-around stuff. You said Washington was on a back-to-back. I think that means he's out, and then he'll play next game. That's just the 1. And then the 2, a lot of people are pivoting to Beal. And, again, I don't mind a play because of the Porzingis news. So I think that's more the obvious thing. His scoring actually goes down without Porzingis. The shot volume goes down a little bit because, as you said, he lends more to let's get my teammates involved. Maybe turn up scoring when I need to if we're down or late in the game. But he really tries to get his teammates involved, tries to affect the game in other ways. So that's why I think it's a great pivot. But promise I'm done. I appreciate you, bro.
Nah, bro. Nah, we can talk ball all day long, Finesse, all the time, bro. I love it. Like I said, I love the looks, man. Love both of these. I might get there with Bill too. And I'm not even afraid to take the 9.5 with Bill either. So I might get there and just take the plus money at 9. I like that look a lot, Finesse. Let me kick it to DJ real quick, and then Cam, I'm gonna come to you.
What's up, Chris? How we doing tonight, man?
What's going on, dude? I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good, man. I want to thank everyone in here yesterday after I came in, gave my play, stuck around, and decided to toss a little Raptors Magic money line parlay together. And man, that was an exciting one.
Oh yeah.
I was fired up over the Raptors and Magic. I had to, bro.
Oh yeah. You had a little sweat going on last night, DJ. You got a chance to skip the gym because both of them games came down to the end.
I don't know how both hit, but that's the NBA, bro. But yeah, tonight we got a small slate. We got an interesting slate, and I don't come on here and give out a parlay. I'm not one to take too many parlays. We like to focus on straight bets for long-term profit. But and there's 2 games, and I don't even think this is a force tonight, right? I'm a Wizards fan, so I know this team pretty well. Unfortunately, I'm a Wizards fan. I'll have to say, but so anytime they're on a main stage with only a couple games, I love hearing what everyone else has to talk about them because not a team that gets talked about too much. But tonight in this little parlay, we're going to go with CJ McCollum over 2.5 threes. I know it's a little bit of a square play, right? But that's why we're just tossing it in a parlay, sprinkle a little bit on this. But the Spurs, they allow the most points per game. They have the highest opponent 3-point percentage, or around 39%. They play at the 9th highest pace, and this is going to be, he's going to have plenty of opportunities. And I love what you guys said earlier in the show about how, this might not be a blowout game, and the Spurs are trying to get back in there and to not just completely suck it, right? And I love that, because my only worry about this was a little bit of a blowout factor. So I think if this game stays close, it's going to hit. He's got 13 3-pointers in his last 3 games. And he's hitting all 3 of those games. It's 4-1 over his last 10. And the next leg I'm taking, moving to this Wiz game, we're going Lauri Markkanen over 2.5 threes. And I know it's juicy. It's -180. And that's why I'm not taking it straight up again, right? You toss this in a parlay, and he's gone over this number in 9 of 11 games. He's hooping. And like you said, don't trust the Wizards on defense. And that's really all you need for that explanation. And then I'm taking Kuzma over 7.5 boards. And this is an interesting spot, because you see this number, you see it at plus money, and you might look at it as he's 2 and 8 in his last 10 in rebounds, but he's still averaging 7.25 rebounds during that stretch. He's up at 7.65 over the season. So we like that there. But the straight play I'm going to give out here, we got one play tonight. We're taking Beal over 23.5 points is what we got it at earlier. I know it opened up at 21.5. It's shooting up. I'd play this up to 24.5. And, I like what everyone's saying. And the Wizards, they've been awful this year. Beal has struggled, but I think that he's starting to string some games together. And, I truly think this Wizards team, they just hit rock bottom a couple weeks, losing all those games without Beal. I think they're due, man. I think they're due to pull out a couple wins over the next couple weeks. I think they're going to cover tonight, but, I don't think they get the win. But going back to Beal, Beal, he's averaged 28 points on 18.5 field goal attempts and 13.5 free throw attempts in these last 2 games back from injury. And the thing that I really like is, you think of Bradley Beal, you think of a shooter, you think of an outside shooter. And, he is, and he has done that the last couple seasons. But, he's really taken a step back in this approach, and he's averaged 22 drives per game. And that's a favorable matchup versus a Jazz team that they give up the most points in the paint. And, they've struggled this year at rim protecting. They don't have Rudy Gobert anymore, and it's been a weakness for this team, man. And Beal, and then 2 games back, his minutes are starting to bump back up. He's still played an average of 33.5 minutes of both games. Just played 36 last week. And like I said, I think the Wizards are going to stay in this. I think they're going to keep it close in the end. Excluding the game Beal got hurt in, he's averaging 27.2 points a game in his last 10. And, I love the trend, and I agree with, whenever Porzingis isn't out, Beal he is a little more passive and tries to get teammates involved. But this is, not many people watch the Wizards, man. I watch this fucking team. This is a spot. You throw that out the window, man. They need a win tonight. Beal is back. He's going to be the alpha tonight. And this is a guy who averaged 30.5 points just for 2 consecutive seasons in a row, man. So you give me this number, 24.5, and I'm taking it. But, well, interesting slate tonight, guys. So hope everyone can make some money.
Absolutely, DJ. And also, I think it's interesting to know too, as well. And I like the plays too, but I think it's interesting to know that, we especially when you see the blowouts, like it's important for us to remember that we don't necessarily have to put these bets in, before the game start. We see the Warriors go down by 373 points yesterday. You live bet them, take them plus 375, and they cover for you. I think at one point, I saw them last night at plus 39.5, and I tweeted it out. And if you took that number, you of course, it's going to be some kind of regression back to the mean. Wasn't expecting them to lose by 50 yesterday, even though I did think that they were going to lose. But same thing with the Celtics. I know Finesse in the building, but same thing with the Celtics yesterday. They go down big at halftime. So it's nothing wrong with, taking those live lines and cashing there. I talked about it with Bill. Some of these players that are playing in these favorable spots and start off with bad starts, just kind of wait and you might be able to get a better number. So always want to make sure I encourage people to live bet versus taking lines pregame.
Yeah, and just real quick, I know that's a perfect point. He only had 2 points at halftime last game, and he did hit his over. I played this, and it was like 23.5 or something. But yeah, 2 points at halftime, you could probably get his over at 15.5. And you mentioned that Warriors plus 39.5, but that's what you got to do, man. You see these good teams playing, and I mean the Warriors aren't a good team this year, but how many years in the past have we seen Warriors go down 20 and then they end up winning by 15 or something. So you definitely gotta sneak those live bets with the Cats. So definitely agree with that, Chris, and I appreciate the time and congrats on coming up on 1 year, man.
Absolutely, DJ. Appreciate you, bro, and I hope you cash your best tonight as well. Like I said, we got a much bigger slate, so no need to force anything. But love what DJ said, love what Finesse said. Let me kick it to my guy Cam, and then Bookie, I'm coming to you.
Hey, what's good?
What up? What up, Cam? I know you having a good day, bro.
Yeah. I told y'all we weren't gonna lose that game.
You did, yeah.
Pascal Siakam
saved
our ass, but you know it doesn't matter how, you just gotta win it.
Yes, sir. You're right.
I wish I took his 30 in the win. 25 was like I started feeling bad about it, but I was like shit, I underestimated my man. But today's a new day. Yesterday was a good day. So I'm on Trey Murphy too. Points, but I'm heavy on this game, the Spurs game and New Orleans game, and I hope it's not a blowout, but here's some interesting facts around why I'm on Trey Murphy, and I'm on CJ too, is the Spurs are the worst against the three-point shot in the league. 40% allowed. That's 40% they allow their teams to shoot against them. They allow 13 makes per game. So I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's take a look at some of these three props. And so I went CJ at over 2.5. Is minus 120. He's hit that the last three. He went 3, 4, and 6. So I laddered him up to 5. I think. Let me double check. Let me give you the odds across all of them, and then I'll tell you what I did with CJ with Trey. So with CJ, you can get his 4 at plus 220, and you can get his 5 at plus 500. Again, when I give out plus 500 or whatever, I'm not putting a full stake on there. That's a split. You split it a certain way, however you feel, but don't put a full stake on plus 5 unless you feel real good about it. That's on you. I took Herbert Jones to record 2 threes. Just 2 is plus 240. He's hit that in his last 2 games. He took about 11 in the last 2 games, 3 to 1, 8 the other, and I'm factoring in the fact that the Spurs are awful at defense on the 3-point line. Keldon's not playing, which is actually upsetting because he's one of the worst defenders in the league. And then you have Devin Vassell, who's also one of the worst defenders in the league when it comes to defensive rating. So, and then I took Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy 3 threes plus 150. His 4 is 360, and then his 5 was plus 925. I mean, for me, 9 plus 925 for Trey Murphy to hit 5 threes against a team that lets you shoot them at will and gives a good percentage. It was just the value's too strong there for me. We've seen him do it before. I've hit Trey Murphy ladders this season, and his threes and his points actually go up without Zion. So he averages about 2.5 threes without Zion. He averages right around 3 with Zion. Without Zion, he averages 3. He averages 15 points without Zion. So all the lines right now favor taking Trey Murphy without Zion. And I went on to CJ and Herb Jones because I'm like, listen, if they're going to allow 13 threes, I'm just going with the average. Those dudes are probably going to be the culprits taking the shots, right? You might get a Jose Alvarado in there. Maybe JV goes off. I don't know, but I went straight on, took a look at all the 3-point shooters and went straight for the value on them. So that's how I attacked that game, and those are my plays for the night. So the ladder on CJ, the ladder on Trey, and then Herb Jones, 2+.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, hopefully we cashed on Trey because I'm right there with you. I didn't ladder him. I was close to it. I didn't ladder his threes. It makes all the sense in the world, but I just played his points and took him at 20, Cam. So I hope you cash all those, bro.
Which makes perfect sense, right? Like I took the points too, but when I looked at it from the 3-point perspective, I'm like, you know what? I've not done this before where I've just kind of attacked the team at the 3-point stage, and you know, a lot of times you're watching the game and you're thinking, like for instance, last night with the Raptors, I'm like, shit, I could have took Fred 20 points. I could have took OG. Like there's a lot of different looks you can take in a single game if you get it right. Obviously, you get it wrong, it sucks, but that's how I felt about tonight. So best of luck to you and everybody else. Yeah, man. Let's make some money.
Let's do it, Cam. Let's do it for sure. Best of luck to you as well, bro. Bookie, coming to you. What's going on, my guy? How you doing?
So, Chris, how we doing?
I'm good, bro.
You, man.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Boogie.
I appreciate everything you do, man. Like giving us time, especially some of the smaller guys, to get some stuff off. Even with the page you made, man, just like always putting on for other people, man. I really appreciate it. So I love what everyone was saying about Trey Murphy. I'm actually leaning that really hard right now. You guys talk me onto it. I think I'm gonna place it. And I love CJ assist. I know everyone else is on that, but I'm actually gonna look on the other side. Trey Jones. over 6.5 assists. This was at plus 100. I think it still is. I think it was plus 110 on Bet365 if you have that. It's minus 133 on Caesar. So Trey Jones over this line in 13-27 since the start of November. In 3 games without Keldon this season, he's recorded 8, 4, and 7 assists, with the 4 coming against Sacramento, who allows the 7th least assists per game to point guards on the season. New Orleans is allowing the 2nd most assists per game to point guards over the last 30 days, and the third most on the season. In 2 games versus New Orleans this season, Trey Jones had 9 in both, with one having 16 potential assists, in the second game having 21 potential assists. Over the last 12 games, New Orleans allowing the 2nd most 3-point attempts, and along with the 2nd most threes to shooting guards and small forwards over the last 30. Just from watching the Pelicans, I think this is mostly due in part to the fact they play a lot of heavy help defense. And, it works in favor a lot of times. You get a lot of turnovers, a lot of points off turnovers. But when it doesn't work out, you give up a lot of open 3-pointers. And especially tonight without Ingram, his length, and Zion, who they like to let roam a lot because he's not the greatest on-ball defender. They like to let him roam and get those tips and deflections and the occasional block on the back end. So it just results in a lot of open 3-pointers. And I think Trey Jones, with the way he is able to attack the paint and definitely going to draw a lot of help, I think it'll result in a lot of open 3-point shooters. And I think there's going to be a lot of value with the Spurs tonight just for other score-wise, right? Because you're going to have Herb Jones likely on Devin Vassell. So you got to be looking for a guy, if the lines ever drop, a guy like maybe Keita Bates Diop, who maybe a couple threes, 1 or 2 threes, a Doug McDermott, maybe even a Romeo Langford if you get his lines. So that's what I like on the Spurs side. And then looking over to New Orleans, I really like Jonas Valanciunas. Let me get over there real quick. Let's see. So I put half unit on Valanciunas, 15 plus points, 10 plus rebounds. That's minus 115. Over the last two seasons, without Zion and Ingram, he's averaging 19 points per game on 11.2 rebounds. Going over or recording 15 and 10 in 17 to 24 of those games, including a game against San Antonio last season, putting up 18 and 11. In a game with Ingram and Zion earlier this season against San Antonio, he scored 22 points and grabbed 10 rebounds in only 26 minutes. And versus San Antonio with just Zion and no Ingram, again this season, he dropped 21 points and 11 rebounds. San Antonio is allowing the most points per game in the 7th highest field goal percentage to centers over the last 30 days. 12 of 24 centers playing 25 minutes. 25 plus minutes. I'm grade 10 plus boards. And then I scale it down because some of those players are playing 35 plus minutes, and Valanciunas can get run off the floor sometimes. So looking at players just playing between 25 and 30 minutes, 5 to 8 centers have recorded 10 plus rebounds. Some centers for San Antonio in December. Bam put up 22 and 13. Mobley with 17 and 13. Şengün just the other day with 16 and 11. Ayton with 25 and 10. And then Jonas had that 21 and 11 game in December. So that's what I'm on for tonight.
Lot of the analysis behind it, Bookie. Lot of analysis, bro. I hope you cash all of them. Best of luck to you tonight. Let me get Hustle up real quick. It's funny real quick while Hustle coming up. It's funny. I haven't heard anybody on Lloyd marketing today. Marketing been filling it up, man. He let Cleveland up in the first half. He didn't play much in the second half. Then he absolutely destroyed Detroit. Coming off a game where he hit 9 threes. Now he gets the Wizards defense that ranks 23rd, 22nd against the three-pointer. 3 sitting at 2.5. Look like he's cleared this 3, 4, 5 games in a row. 7 of his last 8. Yeah, I might have to look at him, Lori. What up, Hustle? Let me kick it to you real quick. What up?
Yo, what's going on?
What's up, Hustle? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you good. What you want today?
All right. I got a lot of leans, I'm loving, Laurie Markkinen has not let me down yet. Even that one game he had 18, I took him at 17.5 on the alternate spread. So, he's been clearing, 20. I'm liking his points today. I like Bill points. They giving 24.5 for plus money. I'm thinking he could get 25 easy, and then Kuzma, I'm liking his points as well. So I haven't made an official play yet, but I'm liking those three as far as that game. But then on the first game, now I'm seeing a lot of good things. So, but I wanted to see what you thought, or if you had any analysis on it. Like Zach Collins assists, they got him at 2.5 for plus money, and he's hit this in the last, like, I see one game out of maybe the last 8 or 10 that he's cleared this in. And 8, 9, 10. The last 10 he's cleared this 8 times. So I'm wondering what you think about that one.
Yeah, his name actually popped up at the top of what I'm looking at. So I hadn't looked at this today. But yeah, so the only conflicting thing is that San Antonio is third against his position, against the power forward / center position of giving up assists. But like you said, his line at 2.5, he's averaging 2.9, which, right at 3, like you said, 80% over the last 5 games. And for the year, he's at 38%. I know Finesse mentioned it earlier as well. Jakob Poeltl is back, but he's, Popovich is probably going to, kind of limit his minutes some tonight. I don't expect Jakob Poeltl to play heavy minutes tonight, just because they do play in the back-to-back, and you try to ease those guys in from injury. So I could see Zach Collins. Yeah, I mean, if you think that they're gonna knock down the shots, San Antonio gonna knock down the shots, it looks like the opportunity is gonna be there for sure.
Okay, and then Valanciunas rebounds, 11.5 plus 105. Like, that's looking good too. I know he just had 18 against Milwaukee.
Yeah, so you see his line at 11.5 or 10.5?
I'm seeing 11.5.
Okay, so I think it opened at 10.5. Another, pretty good hit rate. The reason why I like him tonight, I think, Hustle, is because I don't know if we got official news on Larry Nance Jr., but without Larry Nance Jr., he gets a lot more run. Larry Nance Jr. steals a lot of his minutes, and Willie Green will go to a lineup. I know we've talked about it before in the space where, he kind of alternates those guys, back and forth, and they both will play like 24, 25 minutes. So you don't really like it from that perspective, but 18 last game, I see 8, 9, 6, 10, 10, 12. We know that the Spurs give up a lot of rebounds to centers. I got them listed at 15th on the season, but I think if you look, throughout the whole season, throughout the more recent games, they are giving up a lot of rebounds to centers. Jakob Poeltl being back does kind of help with that a little bit, because without him, they give up even more rebounds. So I couldn't talk you off Valanciunas rebounds either.
All right. One more. Herbert Jones assist at 2.5.
Let's see. Herb be dishing the rock like that? Let's see.
Yeah, he got a lot of 3s, 4s, 5s.
Okay.
Some 1s and 2s.
Okay, so that's a sneaky one too. So I see him at first of all, he has a really good matchup. Spurs give up they're ranked 28th against their opponents as far as allowing assists to the small forward position. Herb line 2.5. I see him at 2.2 for the season, 33% hit rate on the season over the last 5, 40% hit rate, 1, 4, 4, 2, 1, 3, 3. So I couldn't talk to you. I think CJ gonna have the ball in his hands a lot today, though. So I'll be looking at CJ. That's a sneaky, alternative though. Nice little sneaky alternative for sure.
Yeah. Plus, without Zion, like not the last game because he only had 1 assist, but the game before that, he had 4 assists all to Zion.
Right.
But without Zion, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who gonna get the assist too? Yeah. In this spot. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah.
So I think officially, man, I'm on that Laurie. I'm on Laurie's points, maybe Spiel points. But I'm looking at, a lot of other things. Hopefully we don't get no blowouts today. We're looking at, I don't want to say evenly matched teams, but we're looking at teams that, we're not looking at Giants versus Killers here. So, versus, Giants versus Monsters here. So hopefully they stay close. Lately I've been trying to look for the blowout potential. I asked you that yesterday. You kind of went over some, and then I waited to the last 2 games. I was praying. It's crazy. It's a crazy feeling praying for another team to blow your team out because you took, for a blowout. that was crazy last night. But that's where I was. But I was hoping for Kings and Clippers blowout, and it was a parlay that hit for me. Because both of them cleared their points. So hopefully we get none of that today. But yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on. Looking like a lot of sneaky leaks. I don't know too much, Pelicans. I haven't played Pelicans except for Zion this season, so that's why I was asking, a lot of these plays. I like to stick to who I know, but when I do see some leverage, I like to get a second opinion. So I appreciate that.
No, absolutely, Hustle. I mean, you bring a lot of great analysis when you come in as well. A lot of this stuff is just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other to see how, see if we're seeing the board clearly and seeing it the same way. So I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you too, man.
Best of luck to you tonight. Finesse, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, real quick for us, I just wanted to comment on that. Zach Collins, if you like his assists, I'd actually pivot to probably rebounds and assists. He still covered at 8 of his last 9 5 straight road games. I just think he has a real good chance to crush that 5.5 rebound line, 6, 7, 8 rebounds. The rebound and assist line is 8.5. So, in case he shorts you on the assists, maybe only gets 2. I think he has a really, really good chance to make that up with rebounds. So, I think it's a good play by itself, but I definitely think about pivoting to rebounds and assists at that 8.5 line.
Great point, Finesse. Great point. I know we had already talked about the rebounds, so putting them together, especially if you're going to grab one more, of one of those, then that's going to be pretty much all you need in that spot. So couldn't talk anybody off of that either. I'm just trying to check and make sure we're not missing anything. Let me get the Frag real quick. Frag, can you hear me?
Yo.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, you, man. What's going on, man?
I can't call it, man. You tell me. I'm trying to get some money.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm taking a different look on this slate. So that last game with the Pelicans against the Bucks, it was just a poor defensive performance by them as far as just stopping just points in the paint, threes, everything. It was just a bloodbath. So I'm thinking that Jose Alvarado, I think he's going to have a big game here as far as he didn't make a shot last game against the Bucks. He went 0 for 6. I don't think I've ever seen that from him as far as just not making a shot. So I think I'm going to take his 9.5. I think they're going to need his defense as well to just kind of, stop Tyus Jones. And I believe Vassell is in. Yeah, Vassell is also in. So I feel like this is a better matchup for him as far as just like Doug McDermott as well. Like the Bucks is like it's a bad matchup for Jose. I feel like it's just a little too small for them with Giannis and Drew Holiday. It's kind of a mismatch. So I think Jose is going to get a bunch of PT here. I'm taking his points all the way to 13.5. Whatever the book can take. They got books 13.5. That's the highest I can go to. I'm just taking them from 9.5 to 13.5. I'm taking it all the way up there.
Okay. I can't talk you off of that, Fred. I can't talk you off of that at all because the last time I think I was on Trey Murphy, I think Jose Alvarado was one of the games that he actually scored. Maybe his career high. I think he might have had like 25 or something like that. Hit all those threes in that game, and we know how bad the Spurs are against the three, so it could easily be him. Somebody's gonna have to account for the points that Zion, scores, and I could absolutely see it being him. And you make a great point about matchup wise. He is an undersized guard, so it's going to be difficult for him to defend a team like like you said with the Milwaukee Bucks, who they pretty like everybody on that team is pretty pretty massive because exactly because even Drew Holiday as a point guard is pretty big in frame and stature. So exactly which takes away his his advantage because Alvarado's advantage is his shiftiness and his ability to be quick on defense, but you can't necessarily do that if Drew Holiday got you in the paint, so in the post. So I like that look, Fred. I like that look a lot, bro.
Yeah, he also picked up. He had 4 fouls in 20 minutes, so I mean, he was just chalk for the beat, like from the get go. He was just fighting for his life out there.
So bounce back narrative.
I'm gonna roll with today, man.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. I like that look a lot. Nice bounce back spot. I like the bounce back spots, man. for sure. We can't just look at, hit rates for the last few games. We got to think about, what's happened in the last few games as well. And like you said, matchup wise as well. So pretty sure he, wants to prove something, got something to prove for sure too. Love that look. I actually like that look. I hope he can get his while while Trey Murphy can grab his too, though, because I'm on Trey Murphy in this game. But I like that look a lot, Fred.
I mean, someone got to get it. I mean, someone got to score. The Spurs is, they bottom tier defense, so someone's gonna cash.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully we can. Hopefully, okay. Now, best of luck to you as well. Hopefully, we can both get to the window with that one and pick up some winnings, man. Anybody else? Anybody else got any questions? I know it was a pretty short show. I don't see any more requests. Shout out to my speakers, Cam, Frag, Finesse, Hustle, Bookie.
My bad, Chris.
Now, go ahead, Fred.
What are you, besides Trey Murphy, that's your only official play today? I just came here late. My bad.
Oh, no, you good. I always go over my officials at the end, too. So Trey, I took Trey last night at 14.5. I laddered him to 20 at plus 330. And then I also, it's a smaller play. It's not a whole unit play. It's like a quarter unit play. And then I'm on Kessler Walker today. I just think the matchup against the Washington Wizards presents a lot of great opportunities for him with how bad the Washington Wizards are against big men. You see big men just kind of eat them up alive. They don't have a lot of big guys, down low to be able to slow those centers down. So I think a guy like Kessler Walker, could absolutely eat tonight. Just off, being who he is, getting offensive rebounds, running the floor, rim runs. I talked about this earlier too. The Wizards last 5 games are allowing 60 points in the paint, which is by far the most in the league by about 3 points per game. So I think he does a lot of his damage in the paint today. He's a big guy, so I think he just gets a bunch of opportunities down low, and he takes advantage of them, scores some points. I'm official on his rebounds over 7.5. I also played his double at plus 330. Most books have it about plus 330 to about plus 300 to plus 350, but I played it at plus 330. Also wouldn't talk anybody off, laddering his rebounds. I think he could potentially have about 14 rebounds. You look at this game, Kelly Olynyk's not going to be in there, which should equal about 27 minutes or more for him tonight. Keeping in mind that they are on the first leg of a back-to-back, but I like the spot for Walker Kessler a lot tonight. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but like I said, I really like marketing a lot tonight as well. I'm not going to play him because it's a small slate. I don't want to overexert myself too much, but I could market it and just hit 9 threes the other day. And we're talking about a Wizards defense that is really, really bad. Like they're not bad as Detroit, but they're not looking to stop anybody. So I couldn't talk anybody off of marketing as well. I know nobody mentioned them, but I like Laurie marketing a lot too. What was that, Fred?
No, this DJ.
Oh, what up, DJ?
Laurie marketing was my official.
Oh yeah, you did say it. My fault, Hustle. You did say you was on his points, right? What is it, 21.5?
Yeah, 21.5.
Okay. Okay.
I'm looking at it right now. Honestly, I could see in a world where if the game stays close to this Wizards game, I could see Kessler, Clarkson, and Marketing all getting their points. Like they normal point prop on the board. I could see them all getting it, honestly.
So Frank, one thing I think that's interesting about that, and one of the reasons why I just try to find one is because we know Utah is they're a well-balanced team. Also, Colin Sexton could potentially return tonight. I know he was listed as questionable this morning. He got upgraded to not upgraded, but he was listed as questionable yesterday. He actually went through shoot around, which may indicate that he'll be back today, which could steal some minutes from guys like Mike Conley or a guy like Jordan Clarkson. We know that they also have Malik Beasley, who could get hot at any given time and take away some of that offense, where some of the other guys don't need to score as much. So really, I guess what I'm saying is, find one of those guys that you absolutely love and just, take that one to the bank. But there is a world where, a couple guys could definitely hit their lines tonight. Just really difficult to kind of figure out, which one of those guys is going to be, because one of them probably won't, especially with them being on the first night of a back-to-back and having to travel tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. Ben, what's going on before we close out? What's up, Ben? You got something real quick?
I'm sorry, I'm getting in here late. Marketing's actually my favorite player.
Okay. Tell me why.
Marketing guy. I think I've come in here before and talked a little bit about these kind of bigger kind of perimeter players really giving Washington trouble. Market's averaging 25 a game in the month of December. I like him for his 22.5. Washington's given up, I think, either the first or second most points to small forwards, in the last 15 games. And even though, I know he's listed as a power forward, he's going to be guarded by the opposing small forward because obviously Vanderbilt's going to get checked by the 4, and Walker Kessler is going to get the 5. I'm also on his threes. His threes, he's averaging 4.7 per game over his last 9 games. I say last 9 just because that was the first game of their previous road trip, previous homestand. So we get 1 homestand and 1 road trip over the last 9. I'm on the over 2.5 threes, and I have it laddered up to 5. He's hit 3 threes in 8 of his last 9. And he's actually hit 4 threes in 5 of his last 6 home games. He's got fairly positive home road splits. And he's hit 5 threes in 3 of his last 6 home games. He's been on fire here lately. And one thing that I was worried about, right, is kind of what you said was they got a couple other high-volume shooters on that team with, specifically Clarkson. Washington actually defends the guard position okay. Shooting guards specifically have been in the bottom 5, in points per game against last 7, last 15. I'm not saying that Clarkson's going to go under, but I think if someone is to go under, I just think the highest, probability of that is Lauri Markkanen, just because he's got the most positive matchup of all the guys.
Yeah. I hadn't heard anybody talking about it. Now I'm starting to. I couldn't talk anybody off Lauri today. Absolutely could not talk anybody off Lauri today.
I like the threes more than the points, obviously, right? But that's also I got it at minus 160 for the threes last night at the 2.5. And I usually don't like playing juice, but again, 8 of the last 9, he's hit 2.5 threes. It's juice for a reason, clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I don't see any more requests. I know it was a shorter show. I've still been on here for an hour, just covering 2 games. So shout out to the community for coming through and dropping some plays, man. Hopefully we get some cash and we make more than we lose tonight. Like I said, we back in the morning, got a big slate. Shout out to my guy LJ. LJ said he's on Malik Beasley. Oh no, he didn't. He said he just said Malik Beasley averages 4.5 threes, 3-point makes at home. So another guy, I kind of referenced them just a tad bit. It's difficult to pick one of those Jazz players sometimes, man, because they do got a lot of guys that can kind of fill it up. I'm just on Kessler Walker. Like I said, quick recap: Kessler Walker over 7.5 rebounds. I got it at minus 122. Played the double at plus 330 for Kessler Walker, and then Trey Murphy. I'm on value players today, man. I really like CJ McCollum. I like Bradley Beal. I like Kuzma as well. Like Markkanen, but I'm on the value plays tonight, man. Give me Trey Murphy over 14.5, and Trey Murphy at 20, and then give me Walker Kessler rebound 7.5 and his double at plus 330. So that's what I'm on today. Like I said, a bunch of games tomorrow. I'll be handicapping some of these games. Already started some action for tomorrow. Handicapping the games for the rest of the night. And morning show in the morning as always, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. 7 a.m. Cashed it with Chris. Hopefully we talking about, some winning tickets in the morning. So tap in with me there over on YouTube at ChrisBeCappinn. Subscribe, like the videos, retweet them, share them, all that good stuff. Always say tell a friend. None of this is financial advice or, financial consultation. It's all theory, logic, trends, data, SDQL, analytics. Best of luck to you guys tonight, man. Bet with your head, not over it. Until we meet again, I'm out.